Hi everybody, it's James, and I have another CEO Jimbo show for you. This is again on Malaysia Airlines Flight 370, a missing Boeing 777 that disappeared on a flight from Malaysia to China. Had over 200 passengers on it. And this was about 10 years ago, and the aircraft, in my opinion, is still missing. So I've become interested in it for whatever reason, and just really trying to learn from it as best as I can. This episode is on parts. I did go on to section 2. I'm writing a book on this, which is in 4 sections, and section 1 is on witnesses, section 2 on parts, section 3 on navigation, and section 4 on communication and other things, people, places, things, so on. So this is on part 2, which is section 2, which is parts. I made a map. I've been working on a map, and here's sort of my plan or itinerary or whatever you want to call it. But right after I finished the last video 2 weeks ago, I started working on this map, deciding that I was going to work on parts. I kind of mentioned at the end of my last video that I might do it one more time on witnesses to kind of get my witnesses up to date a little bit. But this is a map. I used an atlas to make it with. I have this, losing my, oh yeah, good, okay. Just I'm going to be showing you this tablet here a little bit later too. I was just trying to kind of keep it running so it didn't shut down. I had to tap it a little. This is my Brand McNally Atlas World of Geography. Here's a world map right here. And basically, as I have been sort of researching this, I'm finding that there have been several parts that have been found along the southeastern shores of Africa, and also around Madagascar. Here's these 2 islands here. There's Reunion and Mauritius, or Mauritius. I'm not quite sure how you pronounce that, but there was some parts that were found here. This is Perth over here. I think that there's at least one part that was said to have kind of washed up on the shores on the kind of northwest coast of Australia. And then there's kind of some maybe a few parts that washed up on the Maldives Islands, right in this area here. And then what the subject of tonight is there's sort of a part that was found right in this area. They call this South China Sea is this area, and this body of water is sort of like known either as South China Sea or the Sea of Thailand. This is like Bangkok right here, right at the top of that little channel there. And somewhere in this little neck of the woods, there's a part, and I'm going to read you an excerpt about finding this part here. And somewhere I believe that it even was said to have a number on it that matches MH370, but I don't think that this excerpt that I'm going to read you has that. The key point is just that it was found here, and then I'll kind of show you this map that I'm working on here. That this is kind of about the same thing, but it's kind of less curved as far as the lines of latitude go. This is Kuala Lumpur right up here. The plane took off from Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia, was heading for China way up here somewhere, and disappeared. There's kind of the authorities basically think that it may have kind of like ended up kind of just west of Perth in the water down here somewhere. Again, the parts, there's a number of parts that have been kind of found in this area of Africa. I think Madagascar and these two islands right here, the Mauritius and Reunion, and then possibly some parts like in the Maldives, and so on. So the feature of the thing today is that there's a part that we're going to be reading about right in this area somewhere. And what's odd about this one is, wherever this plane crashed, there's kind of a scatter where parts kind of went from here and ended up here. They went from here to here and ended up there, went from to these islands, went to this place, went to this area. And then oddly, somehow it got into this area. How did it get to here? It goes over here through the Strait of Malacca and then up around, or it goes down here and comes up, or the plane crashes right here and one part remains and all the other parts end up way down here. It's really kind of a puzzle. So this part, I just find this part very, very interesting because it's such in an isolated spot. Maybe it fell off the plane, dropped into the water here, and then the plane crashed down here, and all those parts floated here. I don't know. But anyway, here's the excerpt. If it didn't... We're near it. Or chapter 8. There's 4 chapters in this section. Chapters 5, 6, 7, and 8. This is chapter 8. Yeah, here it is right here. This is part 3 of somewhere in this. There's like 4 sub chapters, and this is one of the 4 sub chapters. I'm not quite sure which one, but anyway, it's part 3 of something or another. So hopefully it can be read here, because I don't know what the 2 blue things are too much. The large barnacle-covered wreckage prompts MH370 speculation, although aerospace experts say it could belong to a discarded Japanese rocket. A piece of curved metal measuring 2 meters by 3 meters and covered in barnacles that washed ashore in the Gulf of Thailand has promoted speculation that it might belong to missing Malaysia Airlines Flight 370. Although several experts swiftly threw doubt over the claims, local residents report the item to authorities in wherever that is, province. So I can kind of pinpoint exactly in there. The key thing on this is just that it's in that kind of basin, if you will, that the sea. It's called the Sea of Thailand. It's kind of that little neck of the woods I was showing you earlier. We'll get back to that on another map too that shows like drift patterns and so on. Villagers found the wreckage measuring about 2 meters wide by 3 meters long. So-and-so says, Thai and international media suggest the wreckage might be part of 370, which disappeared with 227 passengers and 12 crew on board, marched in 2014. During a flight from Kuala Lumpur to Beijing, experts online commented that the chunk of metal was not immediately identifiable as a piece of 777-200ER, the type of plane it was. Aerospace and Boeing report that the Wall Street Journal, so-and-so, we'll get to the other one. Before I flip the page here, this is kind of ongoing. If you've been watching my things, I've been sort of like, just noticing this over and over and over again, that experts just quickly kind of brush this off as not being immediately identifiable. So it's like that's even sort of like a little bit more suggesting that it could be than some of the other ones where it's just it can't be, or whatever. But they're sort of like kind of trying to shoo people off of this being a piece of the airplane. So anyway, So here's the top of it and where it's from. Said on Twitter, the wreckage appeared to be Japanese H-2A rocket. We'll get to that a little bit later on sort of that topic of what it might be, because at least they give you sort of like what to research. I've been meaning to kind of like research exactly what a Japanese H-2A rocket looks like, a fuel-filled launch system used to transport satellites, space probes. But it seems like other people should have done that and should know. They should be saying that, yes, it is exactly a Japanese H-2 rocket, and so it's not a part of MH370. If they were doing that, then I wouldn't be here talking about it. I'd be, talking about something else or just moved on to some other flight or something like that. So anyway, my source was this Oliver Holmes. That's a familiar name. I guess maybe I've just know this person from writing or so on. There's a Wendell Holmes or something like that, famous person. But anyway, Oliver Holmes is the author. July 24th, 2016, doubt over MH370 link after metal wreckage found on Thai coast. That's the title. I found it on 11 September 2023 from this https www.theguardian.com. Anyway, hopefully you kind of understand that. That came out sort of like more static than I was hoping. But anyway, back to my map here. I get you oriented again here. This is Africa down here, Madagascar. This is all ocean right here. This is right up here. This is Kuala Lumpur, where the plane took off from. And this is like Vietnam right here. It took off and was supposed to go north way up to China here. And just took off and it disappeared like right about here, like about an hour after the flight. And this is right where that piece is. They were saying the Sea of Thailand, and this is the Sea of Thailand right here. This is Malaysia right here, and this is Thailand right here. There's Bangkok, Thailand, which is the capital. And then Thailand kind of continues up in this area a little bit. And then this area is Vietnam right here, and so on. So it's the Sea of Thailand. If you remember in that excerpt, it was talking about the part was kind of found in the Sea of Thailand. It had barnacles on it. It was like 2 meters by 3 meters. They think that it may have been that rocket, Japanese rocket. But again, if scientists would have kind of like spent some time positively identifying it as a piece of the Japanese rocket, I wouldn't be here talking to you about this. But it doesn't sound like scientists can do that. Or maybe they have, and it's like it's not that part. And so that's the best they can do to kind of like shoo people away and just move on. There's nothing to see here, kids. So I'm sort of like doing it and trying to like positively identify it as a rocket part is, that maybe, my research will lead me to believe that it really is a rocket part. That it actually doesn't sound like it is a rocket part. It sounds like it's more like it's part of Malaysia Airlines Flight 370. And I believe I read that somebody even sort of like at least suggests that it had a part number on it that matches a Boeing 777 part. Possibly even Malaysia Airlines Flight 370, that very plane, which is like 9M-MRO is like the registration number on it, I believe. Anyway, so that's about it on my map. I just started working on this, and I think you'll probably be seeing this map more and more with more details emerging on it and so forth. Anyway, I put on some things that were just like big cities, like you saw like Bangkok is here, but there's not really too much about Bangkok in the story. It's Thailand. We keep talking about where the sailboat lady ended up on the last one, which was Phuket, Thailand, which is like right about here where my finger is. We were talking about Chennai. The lady took off from Jeddah, crossed Chennai, and then thought she saw the plane on the water here. That was sort of like last episode and so forth. So this map sort of like coincides with my witness map a little bit, but it's actually kind of specifically on parts. So now drift patterns is kind of where we sum up here. Let me kind of go to my syllabus or itinerary or whatever you want to call this. Quick to reject is sort of the theme here. We talked about, how authorities are sort of suggesting that was a rocket part, a Japanese rocket part, but they're not conclusively saying this absolutely, totally, completely was a Japanese rocket part. There's in the news just in the last couple of weeks or so, with even that somebody thinks that they found Amelia Earhart's plane kind of not too far from where it was expected to land, like 100 miles within that, and they have like underwater pictures of it. And the people at Scripps Institute were sort of like quickly were saying, well, it can't be the part because the wing doesn't look right or something like that. Sounded so familiar to this story, whereas I just quickly think in terms of like the waviness of water and the way light goes through it. And I mean, thinking in terms of like some item on the bottom of like a swimming pool, like you throw in a something that sinks, like rings or something like that, on the bottom of the pool, that it kind of like looks weird because of the the rippling and so on, and that the images that they had of that kind of had that look to it, where it looked like they had the twin tails, the vertical fins of the plane. The wing did look like it wasn't quite the right plan form, but it might have been not that the plane was misshaped, but it was because the waviness of the water and the way the light was playing on it, or something like that. So they some what do you call them? Civilians have maybe found this plane and so on. That's there's a lady named Florence, I think DiCengi, who's a journalist. Go to my thing here. Yeah, you've seen this before if you've been watching my series here. These are sort of your kind of key people in this thing. You've got this Blaine Gibson, who's found many of the parts, or he has sort of like had encouraged people to look for the parts, and people have found the parts under his sort of direction and so on. This Vance is a accident investigator that wrote a book on it. Then there's this Florence DiCengi, who is a journalist that deals in aviation accidents, and wrote a book on this flight and so on. But anyway, on a video that I watched of hers, she basically kind of like really emphasized that she didn't think that people were taking this seriously. She was basically saying that this is a really big thing that really sort of rocks the world, and people are basically, like the officials are just sort of like scoffing it off like it's just some sort of adventurer that kind of like got a little too adventurous or something like that, and just one person sort of disappeared kind of thing. Anyway, so she says that this is big, and I sort of like concur with that, where it's, I mean, if you compare this to like the Bhopal, India accident, where DuPont had like a accident where they had a gas leak and it killed like 4,000 people like overnight or something like that. It's maybe not of that magnitude, because there were only like 245 people that died or something like that, as opposed to 4,000 or something. There's something about flying. You kind of like pays your money, you take your chances and so forth too. Whereas if you're just like, community, in sleep, it was like 3 in the morning or something like that. You're sort of like, sort of almost a little more innocent than, somebody that kind of decides, they have a choice between 5 different airlines and they kind of pick the one that's maybe the cheapest, but maybe not the safest or something like that. Anyway, that kind of brings back to in this guy, is even still there. Jim Hall was a former chairman of the National Transportation Safety Board, and he said just about what I just said. He said that that U.S. carriers are much safer than foreign carriers, and if you are taking a foreign character, be very careful. It's sort of like he pays your money, you take your chances, because they're not as safe as the good old United States of America, that kind of thing. So anyway, we've got to sum up here. Oh, this is a long one, 21 minutes. The numbered part, we talked about that already. That I do believe I read that somebody thinks that part in the Sea of Thailand even has a part number on it. So why is there not lots of evidence to suggest a piece part in question is not from MH370? I mean, it's been 10 years. This piece that we're talking about that was found, I believe it was found like maybe about 2 or 3 years after, but less than like 5 years after. So it's been like 5 years since the thing has been found, if not more. And there hasn't really been much research done on it. I mean, it's like, but in this time they should know, for sure whether it was a Japanese rocket part or not. And so anyway, that's kind of where we're at. It's like, I'm kind of like wishing that somebody would do this for me and I learn from them. But since they're not doing it for me, I'm just kind of studying this on my own to kind of learn from it, writing a book about it. Hopefully it makes me better at whatever I do in the future with aviation, possibly just model airplanes. So I'll be a better model airplane pilot. Anyway, hope you like this. Please subscribe and like and tell all your friends and so on. Have a nice day. Bye.